Well, let's have a look now at the junior riders who will be taking part in the 1 o'clock individual.
Making that error, but you may like to just amend your programme so that it reads Steve Pearce as first reserve in the junior final. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 1987 Daily Mirror British Riders' Championships. Cycle Speedway at its very best here at Beta Park Poole. Without further ado, we'll introduce our guests to you for the junior final, and coming onto the centre of the track, we welcome the chairman, the acting chairman of the Cycle Speedway Council, Mr. Harry Glover. One of Cycle Speedway's loyal stalwarts, and it's our very warm pleasure to welcome here today, and coming onto the centre of the track, Poole Secretary, Mr. John Carey. And with the introductions underway, we'll start by the man in the middle today, the Cycle Speedway Council panel referee, Mr. Graham Dent. Graham hails from Manchester and is one of the sport's foremost referees. And now on to the riders. Rider number 1 in the Daily Mirror final lineup from Weymouth, Nathan Jolliffe. Let's have a big warm hand for all these riders, please. Give them a hand. From the north of England, from the Tameside Club, we have Dave Kenyon. From Leicester in the East Midlands, Dave Hemsley, one of the favourites here today. Let's have a hand from all you Poole fans for the first of 2 local riders. Number 4, John Weston, Paul, Sherry and Haycox. From the very powerful Tarr Club in Essex, Adam Lyons, number 5. Down from the Midlands, from the Birmingham Club at number 6, Lee Ashman. First of the East Anglian contingent today, Carlton Clark, number 7 from Norwich. And he's got his usual Norwich Stars fan club with him, and he's got advantage of 2 inside grids, and one of the favourites here for rostrum place today. Another favourite at number 8, Mark Short from Bristol St George. Down from Bury in the north of Manchester, from the Chesham Club at number 9, Paul Graham. From the Yorkshire Club of Sheffield, Chris Turner rides number 10. Come on, give him a hand. At number 11, another Birmingham rider. Number 11 is Richard Lloyd. In a hurry to get things done, and another strong contender. The reigning under-15 British champion from Halifax and Heckman White. Take your pick. It's number 12, Mark Westby. That's number 13, from Morden in Surrey, we have Dave Eustace. 2 inside grids. At number 14, we have Darren Crouch, and Darren hails from the Great Blakenham Club there in sunny Suffolk. At number 15, let's hear from all you locals, another Poole rider, one of the great favourites here at Beta. Number 15 is Darren Tarr. At number 16, the second of the 2 Leicester riders, a very strong rider indeed, Jeff Bell. And let's hear it for the 2 lads who didn't quite make it, but at 17 and 18 they'll be standing by, and that's Steve Pearce at number 17 and Chris Dale at number 18. That's Steve Pearce from Tameside and Chris Dale from Thurrock. Well, as Mr. Glover makes his way back to the pits area, the riders are very busy with their first problem of the day, and that's to disentangle themselves from their bike stands, and having done that, We'll ask Nathan Jolliffe of Weymouth to lead them off around the track, please. A hand for the riders who are about to compete in the Daily Mirror British Junior Riders Final 1987. And as they make their way back to the pits, just a reminder to any latecomers that programmes are on sale around the track at 50 pence. They will, of course, enable you to follow the racing heat by heat, and why not pop along and get one of yours from the programme sellers before the racing gets underway. As much cooperation as possible for the few vital seconds while the riders are at the tapes. All you local Cycle Speedway fans will know, and all of you that have travelled here from clubs all over the country, but any visitors to the sport might like to just be reminded that any movement of riders at the tapes can result in their exclusion. We wouldn't want to see that, so if we could just ask for cooperation. I know there's a lot of noise here at Beta with the Poole show, but if you could just cooperate as much as possible and remain as quiet as possible while the riders are under starters' orders. Here we go then. It's Heat 1 of the 1987 Daily Mirror British Junior Riders Final.
Come on, David. So give a nice round of applause and go around the side, almost around there, all your local
and as Graham Sutton just mentioned, there is rather a lot of noise being generated from the Poole show. A lot of announcing going on the other side, opposite to the Poole Park boating lake. And let's hope that these riders aren't disturbed by that at the starting grid, which is, of course, where they need their vital concentration. And they seem to get away with no movements, and Dave Hemsley's made a flying start to this final. He's obviously one of the favourites, and he's made a tremendous start on that one from Nathan Jolliffe now in second place. Dave Kenyon, the Thameside rider, is in third place, and bringing up the rear, John Weston, who started, of course, on a grid 4 anyway. This looks, the riders are beginning to space themselves out. Dave's Hemsley taking it reasonably easy up in front. But Nathan Jolliffe making sure he doesn't go to sleep. He's not that far away. And these two really pulling away from the other two riders.
Heat 1, and it's a win for Dave Hemsley from Leicester. In second place, Nathan Jolliffe from Weymouth. Third was Dave Kenyon from Thameside, and fourth, John Weston from Poole. In a winning time, a very fast one of 40.3 seconds, 40.3.
Well, let's have a look at the lineup then for heat number 2, and on the inside it is Adam Lyons, the Thurrock-based rider. On grid 2, Carlton Clark, the Norwich rider, who's got a lot of following behind him this afternoon. Grid 3 sees Lee Ashman from Birmingham, and on the outside another of the favoured riders from Bristol St George, Mark Short.
Thanks very much. Give another round of applause as they follow their van out, ladies and gentlemen. Your local music queen, who are starting to singing in the UK. And I'm sure the dogs will give you a little bit of a salute over there as you go out and mark at anything. Give them a salute, Mark. Well done. We'll see you later. And the balloon race, don't forget, it's the local charity. The girls will take the special photo off you for the balloon. Well, here it is, one of the highlights of...
Oh, and Mark Short's made a flyer from 4. Terrific get off. And I think the race has been brought up, has it? Yes.
We'll miss that excitement on the first bend. The referee's whistle blows indicating an unsatisfactory first half lap, and the race has been stopped and will be restarted with all 4 riders. And I'm quite certain that Mark Short on the outside grid there, who was away round the outside, will be a little disappointed, but looking to do that again. And the rest of the riders sorting their machines out, brushing the tyres off.
Mark Short will be hoping for another fast gate like that one in this rerun. And some of his teammates, I can see Mark Collins there in the pits, making sure his machine is all right. And in fact, looks like Dave Hemsley's giving him a hand as well. And of course, he's an arch rival, very much so, of Mark Short this afternoon. And that was a very sporting gesture indeed by Dave Hemsley. It might be interesting for you to note that Mark Short fell rather heavily a week ago at Exeter in a track spill, damaging his leg, but it looks like he's fully fit again now for this, obviously, his big day this afternoon. So here we go from the rerun of heat number 2.
And these are the other members of the team this morning with 2-year-old German Shepherd called Max Gray. There you are. Hillary and 2-year-old Labrador.
Oh, and the Birmingham rider Lee Ashman slipped right off his pedal there. And Mark Short, meanwhile, didn't make that fast start, but he's gone right up the inside. People taking wide lines coming out of that first bend. And, of course, the Adam Lyons there, the third rider, coming to grief as he tried to come across on Mark Short. And it's Mark Short leading quite comfortably now in front. Carlton Clark right hot on his heels though, and the Birmingham rider beginning to make up some ground now after that slip at the starting grid. And Mark Short can afford to sort of fall asleep here because Carlton Clark really is in close contention, and he's looking for a drop. Is he coming out the bend? He certainly is, but he hasn't quite got it. A win for Mark Short.
Out of that one, and I'll wait the referee's verdict there, but it's Mark Short and Carlton Clark right on the line, neck and neck, and just an inch or two between them, I'm sure. And the official verdict coming up right now. The winner from Bristol St George, Mark Short. And only a water heat 3 then, with the excitement
Well,
starting.
that'll please the Bristol St George fans who are there amongst the crowd. So the lineup for heat 3 then reads like this. On the inside grid, we have Chris Turner, the Sheffield rider. On grid 2, perhaps the youngest rider in the field, certainly one of them anyway, must be Halifax's Mark Rushby. Grid 3, Paul Graham from Chesham, and on the outside, another fancied rider from Birmingham, Richard Lloyd. Oh, Chris Turner's made the start from Sheffield on the inside, and Mark Rushby looking to second place. Paul Graham. Oh, and Richard Lloyd switching himself right from the outside and diving underneath Chris Turner and forcing him out into last place. So Richard Lloyd there, one of the fancied riders, as I said earlier, out in front and making a good lead for himself. Meanwhile, it's Paul Graham from Chesham in second place. This will be 3 valuable points for him. Mark Rushby there, poking the wheel in, trying to get in inside of Chris Turner, and he hasn't done so as yet. And he's battling away at the back. But it's going to be a win for Richard Lloyd.
Well, let's hear it for Richard Lloyd, the winner of Heat 3.
Let's have a look at the riders for heat number 4. And on the inside grid, the first of his 2 insides, it's Norden's Dave Eustace. Of course, Dave Eustace rode in last year's final, so this is his second British Junior final. On grid 2, next door to him, Great Brakeland's Darren Crouch. On grid 3, home favourites, Poole's Darren Tarr. And on the outside, Leicester's Jeff Burrell. And Darren Tarr finished, scored 17 points at Heckenway in his semi-final, so on his own track here, must race himself as one of the contenders. And Dave Morden makes the start. And there's a big bundle there by the look of things, and the Great Blakenham rider goes down in a big heap.
First half
Will
lap.
be rerun.
Not for the first time today, won't be the last, I'm sure. The referee holds 4 fingers up there, indicating that the race will be started without exclusion. So if we can have riders to the line, please.
And it looks like they're waiting for the Great Laken riders' bikes to be repaired. Darren Crouch has asked for that extra minute, but he seems to be okay now. Let's see if we can get this start underway again for heat number 4. Oh, and up on the concrete goes Dave Eustace, and that looks like another restart with all 4 riders.
There you are, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think of that?
Oh, and the whistle quickly goes. I think this time there was a bit of disturbing noise around the start area. So I'm going to give you these riders again quickly for heat 4, as this is the 3rd rerun. Dave Eustace on 1. Darren Crouch on 2, Darren Tarr on 3, and Jeff Burrell on 4. So it's a fight between the 2 Darrens, a Jeff and a Dave in this one. Let's see if we can get this race at last underway. And again, the Morden riders made a superb start from the inside. He was quickly away in that race. The Great Blakenham rider, meanwhile, has gone up the inside. Darren Crouch, but he falls again. Darren Crouch hit the deck this time, and the Leicester rider Jeff Burrell steaming through there. And Darren Tarr's got a lot of ground to make up if he's going to catch these 2 riders. And beginning to space themselves out, and Dave Eustace in a comfortable, commanding position in this race at the moment, but Jeff Burrell poking a wheel in there has come right up the inside, and he's still maintaining that pressure and diving up on the inside. And of course, Darren Tarr seen that great opportunity to slip up the inside. Good thinking for young Darren there as he crosses the line with a lovely 4 points that was. And Jeff Burrell hits the handlebars in disgrace.
On the last lap, but opportunism is what it's all about. In 2nd place, number 16 from Leicester was Jeff Burrell. 3rd place from Morden was Dave Eustace, and 4th, picking himself up, number 14, Darren Crouch. Winning time 43.4 seconds, 43.4.
And the track is beginning to cut up a little bit, so Lee Town and the rest of the track staff are just taking off that bit of loose on the surface of the track to make things a little bit faster, I suspect, around the circuit today.
It's starting to dry and to cut up a little, so we want to give all those riders every chance and take the loose off the top.
And here we come then for heat number 5. Let's have a look at the lineup, and of course it's Dave Eustace is 2nd on the trot, 2nd inside grid. And grid 2, it's the Weymouth flyer Nathan Jolliffe. Grid 3, Adam Lyons from Thurrock, and on the outside the Chesham-based rider Paul Graham. And again, Dave Eustace has made a fairly good start, and coming over to clamp on the line this time of anybody coming up the inside. Nathan Jolliffe looking over his shoulder as Paul Graham tries to find a way around the outside. Adam Lyons blocking it there, and Nathan Jolliffe right coming alongside now. Dave Eustace, he's shoulder charging him the lot, trying to weave his way past. And now Adam Lyons begins to poke a wheel in, and Nathan Jolliffe having to cut back across him to maintain his 2nd position. Meanwhile, Adam Lyons has lost out to Paul Graham. Paul Graham has just come under the inside. His experience from last year's final paying off. And what a great race this is turning out to be, because Nathan Jolliffe came back to win that one in superb style.
What a super cycle speedway race.
In second place, it's Dave Eustace. Third place, Paul Graham from Chesham, and Adam Lyons bringing up the rear for Thurrock. Well, as we move on to heat number 6, and on the inside grid, it's Great Blakenham's Darren Crouch. On grid 2, Chris Turner from Sheffield. Grid 3, Dave Kenyon from Thameside. And grid 4, Birmingham's Lee Ashman.
Come on, June, don't run under the rest now. Over you go. Come on.
And Darren Crouch looks to have made the start, but they all bundle up lovely. What a first bend bundle.
Come on, everyone down. That must be worth a hand. Come on, they're all down. We usually get 2 or 3, but all 4, well, that is a real bonus. Well done, lads. Let's make that the last time today, shall we? Might be a little bit of sorting out to do.
Well, none of the riders were scathed from that experience there, which was certainly got the crowd on their toes for that one. All 4 coming down flattened on that first bend. That happens now and again in Cycle Speedway, as they all try and make that first bend point. And of course, the Great Blakenham rider on the inside, Darren Crouch, tries to come off his line a little bit. Probably was the cause, if anybody, of forcing that pile-up. But anyway, let's see what happens with this one. So Darren Crouch on 1, Chris Turner on 2, Lee Ashman on the outside, and Dave Kenyon from Thameside on 3. Oh, another unsatisfactory start. The tape's not being pulled up properly there. Actually, they should have electronic starts at Poole. I didn't see what happened there with the tapes, but they didn't go up squarely. But let's have another go. And once again, look at that Great Blakenham rider, Darren Crouch, coming way off his line to make sure he gets the line out on this Poole track. And they're beginning to space themselves out, but it's Chris Turner from Sheffield taking up the challenge now. Dave Kenyon, meanwhile, is in 3rd place. And at the moment, the riders are riding in the order that they came out of the starting grid and how they started on the starting grid. So it looks like Darren Crouch is going to win this one from Chris Turner, Dave Kenyon in 3rd place, and Lee Ashman in 4th place. Yes, indeed, as they cross the line in that order.
And to the accompaniment of jingle bells on the final bend there, coming, I think, from the front wheel of Lee Ashman. The result of heat 6, Darren Crouch of Great Blakenham, the winner. 2nd place went to Chris Turner, 3rd to Dave Kenyon, and 4th to Lee Ashman.
Well, Dave Hemsley, one of the pre-meeting favourites, lines up on the outside grid, but let's have a look at the other riders in Heat 7. Lining up on the inside, it's Birmingham's Richard Lloyd. On 2, Poole's Darren Tarr. Carlton Clark from Norwich on 3, and the much fancied rider, Dave Hemsley, on the outside. Here we go then, Heat 7. And the race has been stopped, so didn't actually see any movement, but the referee has promptly excluded Darren Tarr for moving at the tapes. Well, that's an interesting point. I honestly didn't see him move.
First exclusion of the day there on grid position number 2, Darren Tarr, adjudged to have moved under starters' orders.
To wind your video back and have a look at that one again.
The consequence of that inevitably is that he's got his
certainly
marching
the most
orders.
minority twitch that I would have ever seen in my life anyway, if there was one. So obviously Dave Hemsley has increased his chances for 4 points in this one, with the Poole home base favourite Darren Tarr out of the running. So here we go then, the rerun of heat number 7. Richard Lloyd has come out wide to counteract any movement that Dave Hemsley might make of going around his outside. So it's Richard Lloyd from Dave Hemsley at the moment, and he slipped as he comes out of that bend, and Dave Hemsley takes full advantage as he literally powers past Richard Lloyd. Tremendous muscles he must have in his leg, this Dave Hemsley, because he was nowhere really going into that bend. And all of a sudden he swoops around it and has found himself now in front of one of the other fancied riders, Richard Lloyd. Meanwhile, Carlton Clark trying to make up some ground. Is he coming up the inside? And Richard Lloyd bundles him onto the inside of the track. You know, he wants to make sure of that second place and a possible chance on the rostrum near the end. But what a win for Dave Hemsley.
Dave Hemsley, the winner of Heat 7. Second place rider from Birmingham, Richard Lloyd. And third, Carlton Clark. Winning time, 41.6 seconds, 41.6.
Richard Lloyd, congratulating him there. Let's move on to Heat 8. The heats after this one, everybody will have had 2 rides. On grid number 1, we see Jeff Burrell from Leicester. On grid 2, Bristol St George's Mark Short. John Weston, one of the Poole Hopes, on grid 3. And on the outside, it's under 15-year-old champion Mark Rushbury from Halifax. Looks like a clean start this time, and Mark Short has made a tremendous start round Jeff Burrell from Leicester. And meanwhile, John Weston going to come across quickly over on Mark Rushbury there. Mark Short building himself up a massive lead now in this race, taking it easy from Jeff Burrell, the Leicester man, who is a good second place at the moment. Mark Rushbury trying something up the inside, is he here? I don't think he's quite made it. No. John Weston, the Poole man, who should know every inch of this track, because this is his home track, finishes in 3rd place. All win for Shorty. 2nd place, Jeff Burrell. John Weston 3rd. And Mark Rushbury 4th.
Bristol St George. 2nd place was Jeff Burrell. 3rd, John Weston. And 4th, Mark Rushbury.
So all the riders have had 2 rides, and on 8 points it's Dave Hemsley and Mark Short. They stand out a mile with Nathan Jolliffe on 7 and Richard Lloyd on 7. But meanwhile, let's have a look at Heat 9. It's the 2nd on the trot and 2 grid 1s for Jeff Burrell, the Leicester man, of course. And on grid 2 we see that it is Lee Ashman from Birmingham. Grid 3, Richard Lloyd from Birmingham. And on the outside, it's Nathan Jolliffe, who really has got the crowd behind him this afternoon. There's one lady screaming him on all afternoon. He certainly is sort of providing the entertainment anyway. So let's have a look what happens as the tapes go up, and it's immediately stopped.
Rider on grid 2 there,
and
was
I
judged by the
believe there's been an exclusion, is there? Yes,
so
Lee Ashman moved at the tapes whilst under starters orders. And there'll only be 3 riders in this rerun. Oh, here we go again. Jeff Burrell, has he made the start? No, Richard Lloyd's come across rather swiftly, but he did force his opponent up onto the centre green, so a rerun again. Oh, Nathan Jolliffe missed that start, as Richard Lloyd has also missed it. And Nathan Jolliffe takes full advantage of that, swooping right underneath the pair of them and up the inside on the back straight, so he's out in front by a long chalk. Jeff Burrell finding a gap, has he? Oh, what's happened there? The race has been stopped. And we have another exclusion on our hands, because Jeff Burrell has been excluded for ramming, in effect. Nathan Jolliffe won't be too pleased with that stoppage. He was out in front, leading one of the more fancied riders in Richard Lloyd, and now he's got to face him
Jeff Burrell of Leicester
on the outside. So, well,
so that just leaves us with
Richard Lloyd has actually got grid 3, so Nathan Jolliffe is now faced with an uphill task, because there's only 2 riders in the race, and of course Richard Lloyd need only watch for him on his shoulder. Richard Lloyd, one of the fastest starters in the sport at junior level, and he scored 20 points in his semi-final at Heckman White to get here this afternoon. Meanwhile, Nathan Jolliffe has been rattling up some very consistent scores in the First Division, Southwest, British League Southwest. And he's been beating some of the fancied senior riders. So this should prove quite a race. Let's see what happens. A rerun then of heat number 9. Just 2 riders only. Richard Lloyd making a very good start and not bothering to look for his opponent on the outside at that early stage of the race, and he's beginning to come across, but Nathan Jolliffe finding the gaps as usual at the inside, is exploring those avenues again as he charges around the outside. He has got a good line, I must admit, round Poole here. Oh, and was he hooked there? He was certainly about to come under up the inside of Richard Lloyd, and the referee has not stopped it, and this will go down in history as one of the most controversial races of the championship. And Richard Lloyd is going to easily cross the line here in first place ahead of Nathan Jolliffe.
Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, without doubt the most controversial race of the day so far. The winner from Birmingham was Richard Lloyd, and second was Nathan Jolliffe.
Well, after that excitement of heat number 9, let's have a look at heat 10 then. This is the race before the interval. On grid 1 we see Halifax young rider Mark Rushby. Grid 2, Adam Lyons from Thurrock. Grid 3, Dave Kenyon from Thameside. And on the outside it's Poole's Darren Tarr, of course. Darren was excluded for moving at the tapes in his last ride, so let's see if we can do better in this one. Got a tough task on the outside, and some older riders, apart from Mark Rushby, in the same race with him. Mark Rushby, the little lad, the under-15 schoolboy champion, both at outdoor and indoor level, has made the start and the running in this heat, and is leading it ahead of the Poole's Darren Tarr. Darren Tarr looking, he should know every inch of the track, he'll be looking for a way past Mark Rushby, who I don't think has ridden here at Poole before. And meanwhile, the riders now beginning to settle for their positions, it would seem, although Darren Tarr taking some wide lines up that back straight, has to check back, and looks like he's going to settle for second. So Mark Rushby, this little lad, is going to be very pleased with this, his first win at Poole. And there he goes, crosses the line ahead of Darren Tarr. Third place, Dave Kenyon from Thameside, and Adam Lyons in fourth.
Under-15 champion Mark Rushby stepping up an age category, showing he's not out of his class one little bit, and he wins heat 10 in a time of 41 seconds, an excellent time, second fastest of the day. Well done, Mark. He was pushed all the way home by Darren Tarr, who was second. Third was Dave Kenyon.
Well, this is the big race, heat 11. Let's give it you in the starting grid order. Let's tell you that Paul Graham lines up on the inside from Chesham. On grid 2, it's very much the man of the moment, Dave Hemsley from Leicester. Grid 3, Mark Short from Bristol St George, both unbeaten at this stage of the meeting. And on the outside, it's Darren Crouch, the great Blakenham rider, who's been in all sorts of problems this afternoon, fallen a couple of times, and has certainly been in amongst the action. So let's see what happens in this race. Heat 11, the one directly after the interval. Well, Dave Hemsley's made a superb start, but Mark Short was almost found a way past Dave Hemsley as he chops back across Paul Graham and Darren Crouch, who have found themselves way back behind, and they're going to have their private scrap at the back. Meanwhile, it's Dave Hemsley powering away out in front, and Mark Short can't seem to do anything about it. He's not making any ground at all on Dave Hemsley, and he looks settled for second place. Meanwhile, Dave Hemsley, this could be the race that clinches it. This is a very important race indeed, this Heat 11, and Dave Hemsley's going to win it in fine style from Mark Short. Meanwhile, Darren Crouch, the great Blakenham rider, has found a way past Paul Graham.
Of Heat 11, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Short from Bristol St George in second place. Third was Darren Crouch, and just bring himself around the final bend, Paul Graham.
Well, heat number 12. Let's see what the lineup is here. It's the Norwich rider Carlton Clark on the inside. Grid 2. John Weston, one of the Poole favourites. On grid 3, Chris Turner from Sheffield, and on the outside, Dave Eustace from Morden. Has Carlton Clark made the start? He has just about. There's a big bundle there. And the races have been allowed to continue. There was a bit of a first bend infringement there, but meanwhile it's the Chris Turner from Sheffield who's found himself out in front. Carlton Clark lying in second place. In third place it's the Poole rider John Weston, and they're beginning to space themselves out rather nicely here. Well, that means that nobody's going to do any more passing in this race. It all happened on that first bend. So Chris Turner crosses the line, head down, and there he goes ahead of Carlton Clark. Not far behind Carlton Clark.
Heat 40.6.
Third place there went to John Weston, and Dave Eustace brought up the rear. So all the riders now have had 3 rides. Let's have a look at the progressive scorers. We've got on 12 points now Dave Hemsley, the man of the moment. Mark Short on 11. Nathan Jolliffe on 10. And before we go down the list, let's have a look at Heat 13. And riding on the inside, Carlton Clark. The second of his 2 insides, second race on the trot. Darren Crouch on grid 2. On grid 3, Nathan Jolliffe from Weymouth, and on the outside it's little Mark Rushby. And Carlton Clark makes a start this time. He'll be anxious to get a win under his belt. He's been looking pretty impressive, although not finishing in first place yet, but he looks like he's going to make amends here. Meanwhile, it's Darren Crouch in second place. Nathan Jolliffe, the track specialist, looking for all sorts of ways, and he's certainly he does force riders into making errors, but he's made an error himself this time as Mark Rushby comes back under him. Nathan Jolliffe, meanwhile, is counteracting that move by Mark Rushby, has come underneath Darren Crouch. A terrific ride once again from Nathan Jolliffe. Well, if anybody deserves to get on the rostrum, at least it must be Nathan Jolliffe. What a ride.
Come on, put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Some superb cycle speedway action there, all those riders involved, and no doubt about the winner, Carlton Clark, right out in front, but coming through from last at one stage he was, into second place. From Weymouth was Nathan Jolliffe. Mark Rushby was third, and relegated back to fourth place was Darren Crouch. Winning time.
Well, let's have a look at Heat 14, and one of the fancied riders, Mark Short, just dropped that 1 point to Dave Hemsley, lines up on the inside grid, and next to him, one of the fastest starters in junior sports here, in the junior final this afternoon, Richard Lloyd. He'll be looking for a way round Mark Short, I'm sure, at the gate. Dave Eustace, meanwhile, is on grid 3, and on the outside grid, it's Dave Kenyon from Tameside. All eyes, of course, will be focused on grids 1 and 2. They're the 2 of the riders making part of the running with Dave Hemsley at the moment. And they'll be anxious to get as many points as possible out of this. They'll both be looking for a good start, and it's Mark Short who pulls away this time, just coming off his line a little bit to get round that bend in comfortable style. And meanwhile, Dave Kenyon has gone round the outside of Dave Eustace. That was a good ride from him. And he's trying to catch up now with Richard Lloyd, but it's Mark Short who's out in front. Richard Lloyd not too far behind him, driving up the inside to try and make a bit of ground on Mark Short, but he hasn't done so. Dave Kenyon, meanwhile, having to quickly look round there because that rider in Darren Crouch was, Dave Eustace was right up behind him, but it's Mark Short who wins it from Richard Lloyd. Dave Kenyon in third place and Dave Eustace in fourth.
George, second place rider from Birmingham, Richard Lloyd. Third was Dave Kenyon, and fourth Dave Eustace. And
well, Heat 15, we've got Dave Hemsley, the man of the moment, again on Heat 1. And on grid 2, we've got his Leicester teammate, Jeff Burrell, although he won't be team riding him in this race. Adam Lyons on 3. And on the outside, it's Chris Turner from Sheffield. And Chris Turner made a good start round Adam Lyons, but has been forced out wide. Meanwhile, it's Dave Hemsley, as usual, making the running up front. Adam Lyons forcing himself away past Jeff Burrell, as he? No, Jeff Burrell's swept back across and is following his teammates, Dave Hemsley. And they're beginning to pull away, this Leicester pairing now from Adam Lyons. Chris Turner way back and out of the running in this race. Dave Hemsley's got quite a few bike links now in front, so he's going to win this one in easy style, comfortable style, which will put him in good stead for his last ride. And he's almost coaxing around now, making it look so easy.
Heat 15, and that's a comfortable win for Dave Hemsley there. In second place, his teammate from Leicester was Jeff Burrell. Third was Adam Lyons. Fourth, Chris Turner. Winning.
Well, in Heat 16, we've got 2 pool riders. Darren Tarr on the inside, John Weston on 2, Lee Ashman on 3, and Paul Graham on the outside. And it's Darren Tarr who makes a quick start from the inside, ahead of his team partner, John Weston. Meanwhile, Lee Ashman has found a way up the inside, as he must have crossed the inside white line there, but he hasn't been excluded. But meanwhile, Paul Graham has took full advantage of that that blunder there between those two riders and nips up into second place, following Darren Tarr. Meanwhile, John Weston found a way past Lee Ashman there, forcing him back into last place. So this will be a good win for Darren Tarr if he can maintain this lead. Paul Graham is right hot on his heels though, so he won't certainly have to watch what he's up to here, but he crosses the line in first place. Well done, Darren. Second place went to Paul Graham. Third place, John Weston, and bringing up the rear, Lee Ashman. So all the riders have now had 4 rides, and of course the man out in front, Dave Hemsley, on 16. Mark Short's got 15 points and Richard Lloyd 14, and these 3 riders are beginning to pull away, although Nathan Jolliffe, who's out in this race, is on 13 points. So Nathan Jolliffe on the outside will need a good race here, but of course next to the door to him on 3 it's Mark Short. On grid 2 we've got Chris Turner from Sheffield. He had a good win last time out. Oh, sorry, he didn't have a good win. It was 2 races ago that he had a good win. And on the inside it's Darren Tarr once again, his second ride on the trot, and the second of his grid 1s and final race. So he'll be looking for a good score to finish on here. But all eyes will be focused on Mark Short on 3. He needs to win this one to stand a chance of a place on the rostrum. Tapes go up, and Darren Tarr, as he made the start, he's been forced into an error, and Mark Short's been came back underneath them, but Darren Tarr very cleverly cutting back across, but Shorty has come up the inside once again, and that's where he'll probably stay, because Darren Tarr will have an awful lot of work to do now to pass Mark Short, who really is in fine form for Bristol St George this year, top of the averages, and certainly worthy of his #1 slot inside. And Nathan Jolliffe there being forced back by Chris Turner back to the rear. The Big E, as they call it in Cycle Speedway, being forced upon Nathan Jolliffe, who otherwise would have finished on a very impressive score and has certainly been worthy of it. But Mark Short the winner here from Darren Tarr. And Chris Turner in third, and bringing up the rear, an unusual sight for Nathan Jolliffe, that's in fourth place.
And fourth, Nathan Jolliffe. And the winning time, 42.3 seconds.
Well, we move on to Heat 18 now, and lining up on the inside grid is Tameside's Dave Kenyon. On grid 2, Paul Graham from Chesham. On grid 3, Jeff Burrell from Leicester. And on the outside, it's little Carlton Clark, who certainly packs a punch in most of his rides here this afternoon. Been riding with a lot of grit and determination. Here we go then, heat number 18. And Dave Kenyon tries to get a good start away, he does, and he's left a bit of a gap at the inside, because up comes the inside, Paul Graham trying to weave his way past, and he forces Dave Kenyon right out to the outside. And that is good news for Jeff Burrell and Carlton Clark, who burst through. Carlton Clark now in the front, and Jeff Burrell leaning right across there, over onto Dave Kenyon, and he's still just ahead of Paul Graham at the moment, so there'll be a battle for those 2 riders at the rear. 1 lap to go, it's still Carlton Clark in the lead. Jeff Burrell in second place, they're going to remain in those positions, but on this very last bend, and as the camera sweeps round, unfortunately we missed Dave Kenyon being passed by Paul Graham to take third place.
The champion, Dave Hemsley of
And
Leicester.
we move into heat 19 now, and this is the race where Dave Hemsley can wrap it all up, but he's on the outside grid. Let's see who he's got with him. On the inside, it's Birmingham's Lee Ashman. Grid 2, it is Dave Eustace from Morden. Grid 3, Mark Rushbury from Halifax, and on the outside, of course, Dave Hemsley. Let's see if his power can be maintained in this vital heat number 19. Oh, there was certainly a bit of movement there, and first I thought it was Dave Hemsley who moved, but the referee has judged that the little lad Paul Mark Rushby has been excluded. So once again Dave Hemsley has got the nerves going on those riders, because it's the second time that he's forced riders to move at the start, and on each time I think he's been on the outside grid, because he certainly is a fast starter as well as that speed around the outside of the track. But this time he hasn't made the start. And what's this rider? It's Dave Eustace, is it not, in first place, but he doesn't stay there for long. What about that for a burst of speed around the outside? Where did he get it from? absolutely tremendous. I thought he was taken right out there with no room left on the outside of the track. And by now he's pulling away, and he certainly will be a worthy champion, Dave Hemsley. Dave Eustace, meanwhile, in second place, and he's not going to do a thing about it unless Dave slips. And with 1 lap to go, that looks very unlikely. Meanwhile, in third place, mustn't forget Lee Ashman from Birmingham, but he's not. He's just sitting on his saddle. It's Dave Hemsley's afternoon and day. What a race! Well done, Dave.
Junior champion 1987 from Leicester, Dave Hemsley. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, give him a good hand. He's ridden very, very well today, and he's excited about the prospect. He's got the Mirror Champions jersey to look forward to and all that glittering silverware in just a moment. But meanwhile, his winning time in Heat 19, 40.9. As we move on to Heat 20, the final scheduled race of this junior final.
Well, Heat 20, it's also a big race because Richard Lloyd is also in the running. He needs to get a good result here. He's on grid 2. On the inside of him, however, let's have a look. It's Poole favourite John Weston. So the full lineup, John Weston on 1. Richard Lloyd on 2. Darren Crouch from Great Blakenham on 3. And Adam Lyons, the third base rider, on the outside. All these riders will be anxious to make this a good race for them, because this is the last race of the junior final this afternoon, and a very important one indeed for Richard Lloyd from Birmingham. A chance to, if he wins, to finish third and a place on the rostrum. Oh, but it's John Weston. Has he made the start? No, Richard Lloyd seemed to find those extra pedals towards the end of that straight into the bend, and is beginning to pull away already from John Weston. So third place looks on the cards for Richard Lloyd, certainly. John Weston, meanwhile, is in second place. The Great Blakenham rider, Darren Crouch, in third place, ahead of Adam Lyons, who hasn't had a very happy afternoon here on his debut at Poole Cycle Speedway Club in a junior final, is the last, and that put him on only 6 points. But it's Richard Lloyd. As he brings his tally up to 18 points, a worthy third place. And the minor places are going to be filled by Poole's John Weston, who, although a slip, just holds on to second place, ahead of Great Blakenham's Darren Crouch, and Adam Lyons in fourth place. So now let's have a look at the top 3, and we'll move over now to the winners' rostrum.
1987 from Birmingham with 18 points, Richard Lloyd. Ladies and gentlemen, to the rider who finished runner-up today. How well he rode. In any other year he could well have finished champion, but only runner-up today. I'm sure he'll be pleased nevertheless. His Bristol St George fans will give him a warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, runner-up is Mark Shaw from Bristol St George. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen 17 riders. They've had their presentations. Now we come to the moment when we make the presentation to the rider who has become the champion with 5 unbeaten rides, the fastest time of the day, for which he'll receive a bonus prize. A worthy champion, if ever there was one, from Leicester. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the 1987 British Junior Champion, Dave Hemsley. There, receiving his Daily Mirror Cup, his Daily Mirror pennant. He's already wearing the Daily Mirror shirt. He's got the ICI watch for the fastest time. Somewhere amongst them there'll be a bundle of 5 fivers for his 5 race wins. He's got a pair of Yes gloves, courtesy of Lee Lawrence. How on earth is he going to carry it all home? Nevertheless, that's his sum total for his efforts this afternoon. 20 points into the bargain, and how well he's ridden. And the whole posse of photographers ranged out behind Roger Nicholson to capture the moment for Spokesman magazine, and myriad other photographic collections, I'm sure, along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, as the riders are mount to the rostrum, put your hands together for the top 3 in the 1987 final.
Well, I think this afternoon Dave Hemsley has given us all a warning that senior riders are going to have to look out for him in years to come, and if not now, in fact. So just to remind you that Dave Hemsley won the Anjou Junior at Birmingham this year and was 4th also in the British Youth Final. So he's had a great season, and what a way to round it off. And of course, this caps the lot, doesn't it? The Daily Mirror 1987 junior title. And it must be said that Dave certainly was in a class of his own today and thoroughly deserved this victory this afternoon.